Hey there, folks. It's the E-Man here, and tonight on let's see, yeah, tonight on the 25th of March, Saturday. Now, I am doing this video to basically explain the the closing of the Wii U and the 3DS store. Kind of an end of an era, I guess you could say. Oh yeah, there's been a lot of people doing a lot of videos. Well, become Monday, March 27th, the store will officially be closed. So you might want to do whatever purchases you may be wanting to look for on it. I know a lot of people have been saying that you can't add funds to it anymore, and that's somewhat true, but you have to go onto your Switch and connect your Nintendo ID. If you can remember, the password and, your account, if you have an account on the, if you had an account on the Wii U or the 3DS, that's called the Nintendo ID, and you can link that to your Switch, and then you can technically go and add funds on your Switch, and then the funds will show up on the Wii U and the 3DS store. Kind of odd. Yeah, a little bit of a weird thing, but whatever. There's a lot of Wii U like exclusive games you're not going to be able to get anymore. The first, one thing that made me like the Wii U was the virtual console. Yeah, classic games. Almost unlimited supply of retro games. Even Wii games are on it. Yeah. Well, and of course, now a lot of people know that, of course, Nintendo has said now that they're going to offer us classic games. Right? But we have a limited amount of them on the Switch store, which is getting better. But then there's rumors of a new Switch, so I don't know if we'll be able to carry our stuff over again. Well, I should say some of the best games you should get. Well, since I have the 3DS sitting here, let's talk about this particular aspect here. Yeah, I managed to get a 3DS a while ago from GameStop, like one of the last ones they had, and I was able to get Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, two really great games we made on here. Let's see. A lot of the games I would think that you might want to get on the 3DS Virtual Console. Well, there's a lot of old Game Boy games. There's also the those classic Pokemon games from back in the day. A lot of those have a hard time working because you have to replace the batteries in them and stuff. But of course, there's a lot of Game Boy games you have access to playing here, like Pokemon Yellow or whatnot. Sorry, that's not going to work very well, is it? Yeah. Well, basically, once you've linked your Nintendo ID to your Switch, usually you have to go in and check out your account settings and whatnot. Now, storage on the 3DS uses SD cards, and you can put the SD cards on the computer and copy the data off. The Wii U would probably need an external hard drive since the Wii U limited storage capability. My Wii U was the special Wind Waker edition, 32 gigabyte version. A lot of people talk about a lot of Wii U's bricking and stuff, and there's ways to back up the data onto a computer and whatnot. Yeah. Well, and keep in mind, once you've bought it, well, on the Wii U in particular, before you can even buy before you can even buy the game, like before you even have to buy the game, you have to make sure you have space, because if you don't have space, you won't be able to download it. So you want to make sure that these things show up on your downloads. Once the store is closed, you will still be able to download stuff you've already bought. So don't like super panic. Like me, I ordered a hard drive like too late. I don't know why I waited so long to think about it, about the store. And I'm like, the store's closing, duh. I mean, anyway, so yeah, so I had a hard drive coming on Monday. Of course, it's not going to do me much good when the whole store is shut down. And then I was like, is there really any major digital games I wanted to get? Xenoblade Chronicles X, I was able to buy the disc from GameStop. Even had the disc resurfaced, it still wouldn't work. So, and I saw the digital version of it. Because trying to go on Amazon, a lot of the copies of it are the European copies, and the only American copies like $89. And I heard a lot of people like Xenoblade Chronicles X. I remember playing it, not really liking it, and like taking it back, and I was very unhappy with it. I think I was just having a bad day or whatever. Go out, pick up some Wii U games. Let's see, we got Captain Toad Treasure Tracker. I know that this is on the Switch, and yeah, but there's something about the Wii U touchpad. Some of the games are really quite good. I was hooked up on Pikmin 3, particularly. Another digital game that I had gotten a while ago. Because I think there was some deal where you could get, like, buy one game, get another game free or something. Star Fox Zero. I remember getting this when it first came out, and I know that it was very weird with the touch screen and stuff, the way the flight controls are. And it was really not the best Star Fox game. It really wasn't the best Star Fox game, really. It didn't borrow a lot from a lot of the other Star Fox games and trying to be like a reboot almost, like going back to like the first game or whatever. If you're a Star Fox fan, you're gonna like this, but it's surprised how short the game was and how much felt like there was a lot of stuff that wasn't even in it. Like it wasn't even really that exciting or whatnot. Of course, this came with Star Fox Guard, which was some kind of weird tower defense game or something, some mini game that was on it that came with it. I remember like being really, because the cool like opening animated cinematic movie for it and stuff was cool and stuff. But yeah, not completely terrible. What other games? I remember Mario Color Splash. Yeah, it was one of those weird Paper Mario like games with the Color Splash stuff. The biggest thing for me was that there's tons of random battles, and those random battles didn't really give me much experience, and I felt like I got kind of bored with the game. I got a little bit bored with it. It felt like, what was really the point in fighting any battles? And there was like parts of it I would just get so worn out of. Of course, I'm going to try to like it and play it because it's one of those Wii U exclusive games. Yeah, the Paper Mario. Now a lot of you, I know, a lot of you may not have even bought a Wii U. It didn't really sell well. Yeah, I mean, even I was kind of like, I was skeptical about it. I really loved getting, because when I got the Wind Waker version, I was able to get the Wind Waker HD, came with it, and the special, and my special Wii U gamepad. Let me, sec, ouch. my Wii U gamepad. As you see, it's got some Zelda writing on it, kind of a spiffy design. The console itself didn't really have any, it has like Hyrule writing and Triforce symbol and stuff. Yeah, the console didn't have any spiffy things. Of course, this kit came with the the charging thing that you can stick it on a charge thing, the charge stand. Then, of course, there was the regular stand. Regular stand is to hold it up. As see, I'm downloading Xenoblade Chronicles X. Oh, I've had a hell of a time trying to get it to work. Found an old hard drive and trying to use it to install on it or whatever. Yeah, well, the thing, of course, I should say with the Wii U is that its USB is 2.0, so you need like a hard drive that can plug into the wall, or if you happen to have a Y cable. And all of a sudden, it was like hard to find Y cables. I mean, I don't see, the fates were against me to try to keep this from working. Even my Wi-Fi even went out on it or whatever, but okay. Yeah, the biggest reasons why a lot of times I had thoughts of selling the Wii U, getting rid of it, and then the major reason why I kept it was because of all of the retro games that you could get on it. Yeah, there was tons of virtual console games, which really made the console worth it. But, I guess after a while, no one really cared about it much. Maybe Nintendo just doesn't think people care. But, yeah, as people talk about preserving video games. That gets harder when we're approaching the digital age. So I guess the plus of the digital age is we don't have to worry about, oh, gee, I can't, my car's broken down. I can't get to the store today, or I don't really have money to put gas in my car to go to the store, where you just download it. But the problem, though, is when these stores close down, then we lose access to these games. And a lot of them forever. Like, I don't think, well, Nintendo has given us kind of a good amount of retro games to play on the Switch. A lot of them seem to run okay on the Switch. We've had issues with the N64 emulation. Yeah, I think it's weird that the Wii U seemed to be able to play N64 games, Wii games, DS games, all these games, and then have any problems. So why is like the new super duper Switch not as powerful? No. So I like Nintendo. Well, I remember the Wii was what first got me like really into like what Nintendo was doing. I remember buying a GameCube. I even remember having a 8-bit NES. So Nintendo was the very first console I ever had. Second one was the Genesis, of course. But when we're talking about those older games, a lot of them didn't really have any digital storefronts to really buy games. Well, because the first virtual console was on the Wii. And I was always drawn to the virtual console. That was one of those big major things. But perhaps a lot of them just think that it's not a prolonged thing, like people aren't going to keep buying them, eventually get tired of it. Well, I guess that the issue was, we got the Wii, we downloaded a bunch of stuff on the virtual console and found out when we got the Wii U, we had to like rebuy the games. Mind you, Nintendo did give us a discount. A lot of times you could get the Wii U version for like $2. But it was still kind of a pain. And I think that's probably why on the Wii U, people were getting kind of tired of the virtual console. Like, well, gee, what are we going to have to do next? We're going to try it to another system? I mean, maybe eventually Nintendo might do something to the Switch where we'll be able to access some Wii U stuff, or I don't know. Well, I mean, I'm not sure what the emulation status is on the Wii U. I know that one of the major things with the Wii U, of course, is the gamepad. A lot of times you need the gamepad in order to even turn on the system. Like the gamepad comes on before the system, so the gamepad and the system are interjoined. So take care of the screens. And that was a big reason why the Wii U could not drop in price, because the screen. A lot of times I think half the cost of the console was the screen, how expensive the screen was. Of course, now the screen, but with the Switch, the console and the screen are all rolled into one. Well, the screen is limited to what you can do. Usually you can only go a certain distance from the Wii U. Like my Wii U is way over here and it's still working. Yeah, the Wii U was always an interesting console. I remember getting this from GameStop, and then I took it right back and said, I don't really like this. But then I later on I saw the Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker, and I said I really loved that game for the GameCube. I remember really playing the heck out of it, and of course remember that version of it, the original version. Your ship did not move continuously. You had to make sure to change the wind and do it. And I like the charting and the sailing aspect of it. I don't know why they called it Wind Waker. They should have called it Legend of Zelda Sailing or something. It was very innovative, very much like Breath of the Wild or whatever. It was a very innovative thing. Yeah, there's a bunch of game. Talk about the 3DS here with the story. There's plenty. There's like a lot of the Mega Man Extreme games, which were like the Mega Man X games on the Game Boy, and then Game Boy Color. Kind of like a weird mashup where you get to fight previous Mavericks, and there's another villain and whatnot. A lot of the Mega Man Game Boy games are unique renditions of the console versions of Mega Man. And I had never actually played any of them. I wasn't aware there was all these ones. On the 3DS store, they are of course in the original Game Boy Color. I mean the original Game Boy, black and white, unless you have the actual cartridge and play it on the Game Boy Player or any number of things. A lot of people say a lot of these games, of course, you can get on emulation. Well, and that's true. I mean, emulation for Super Nintendo and a lot of the cartridge-based games is relatively easy to get working. Plus, cartridges are a lot tougher than discs, of course. So a lot of times we don't have to worry about the disc rot or other problems. Yeah, and there are issues if my 3DS or my Wii U were to blow up. I probably wouldn't be able to play these games. I don't know if you can see the Wii U. I heard people talk about the Wii U's bricking. Well, I remember I had my Wii U on storage, and I had an external hard drive, and I whipped it out to play it, and some odd reason the hard drive appeared to not power on. I'm now thinking that maybe the battery in the hard drive wore out, because I'd had it in storage for 2 years. And I guess supposedly the hard drive bricked. Wii U wouldn't even come on. So I turned off the Wii U, unplugged the hard drive, turned the Wii U back on, and it worked. But then I didn't have the hard drive. Drive away. I probably should have kept it, tried to see if I could get it to charge, but I couldn't even get it to even look at what was even on it on the computer. It was, well, and everything has to be formatted, of course. Yeah, well, apparently I'm having problems with my hard drive that I have here. It's kind of a really old one, so I'm amazed it even works. But usually with Chronicles X, the game is downloaded and it installs, and then all of a sudden it says the USB drive's been disconnected and blah blah blah. And the Wii U just pauses out everything and you have to switch it out. I don't really know what. And like I was saying, you cannot technically buy a game if you can't store it on the storage. So basically the thing is, with my USB drive, just hook it up for a few minutes, at least start to download the game, and if it doesn't want to download, you can just re-download it later. I'm dumb and should have gotten a hard drive for it for a while, but I was just amazed I could find one. One specifically made for the Wii U, a 1 terabyte one. And of course I did realize that the Wii U games don't have to install on the console. The save data is saved on the console, but there is no actual file to install if you have the Wii U disc game. Well, so unlike modern consoles now, where if you install it, well, of course, if you get the digital version, you have to install it. But, I mean, of course there is, even if you have the disc version, usually there's a 20 gigabyte thing you have to install. And let's face it, the newer consoles don't have to, really read. They can read the disc for, security reasons, but then they can just run. I guess the Wii U has to keep the discs going. That might explain why my copy of it didn't work right, because of the way it has to work, I guess. Well, of course, modern discs, really good. There was no disc rot. There was just a lot of scratches on it and some kind of film on it. I had resurfaced it, which is just unusual that GameStop would have sold me this game knowing that it was full of scratches and wasn't going to work. Another reason why GameStop is this kind of fading away. I remember GameStop tried to do their retro game thing and people were ripping them off, and somehow they don't know how to make any money doing that, even though the retro market is through the freaking roof. Yeah. All in all, it's kind of sad to see that the Eshop closed. I'm amazed it's been open as long as it has. I mean, hasn't the Switch been around since 2011 or something? I mean, yeah, it's just sad to see them close. I remember we had issues with when they were going to shut down the PlayStation 3 and the PSP stores. I don't think they have yet, but I remember the PSP, it's hard to download anything on it. I still have a PlayStation 3 as well, but then there's issues. The idea of when the PlayStation Network for the PlayStation 3 shuts down, and supposedly there's an internal battery in the PlayStation 3, and once that dies, if it has no way to connect to the PlayStation Network servers, it's just going to be dead. So I guess issue is we see that these modern consoles are kind of, the idea that we're going to be able to play a lot of these games 20 years from now is probably not a realistic thing. Well, I mean, play say the NES, which is almost 30 years old. You can probably find an original NES, still the works. I've had a lot of consoles I had for almost 30 years that worked forever. We seem to have consoles nowadays that can blow up or something. I guess as games have gotten more and more enhanced, there's more systems, more power, more graphics, and high-powered graphics cards and stuff. But I really do think that the biggest strong point for me for the Wii U is was the Virtual Console was a really big thing. It may not have made much money then, but of course, the old saying is you don't know what you have until it's gone kind of concept. Like, get used to it being there. Oh, it's the Wii U. Like, why does anyone want to play the Wii U? you know, or companies, especially like Sony or whatnot. So, you know, when they had people seem to think, why does anyone want to play any of these old games? In truth, a lot of these old games they're old. They're probably technically somewhat inferior to newer games, but there's still something about some of those games. It's still kind of fun to play. Yeah, a lot of great games on the 3DS and the Wii U. You might want to hurry up and try to get whatever you can downloaded. The virtual console things that don't require a lot of space, those can usually easily be downloaded on your console. You can also use USB flash drives. You can also use USB flash drives to plug into it. But I will tell you that the ports are a little bit loose, so make sure you have it in a place you're not going to be whapping it or something, because that will just screw it up. About it. I guess if you want to have prolonged usage of your Wii U, you might want to get a more updated battery for the Wii U control deck. I mean the Wii U gamepad, so you can get a few more hours out of it. Yeah, one of the games I particularly like for it is Pikmin 3. Quite an interesting game. I'm like sitting there playing it, and this is interesting. The Pikmin games are not for everybody. They are a very unique set of games. I mean all the games. I think the original Pikmin was on the GameCube, and then they did like a Wii port of it where it was like the GameCube game, but it allowed you to use the the Wii remotes, whatever they're called. Yeah, Nintendo does crazy things, but I've heard some people saying that like the sales on a lot of things have gone through the roof. Especially those Pokemon games that I mentioned, like Pokemon Yellow, Pokemon Red, some of the early ones. I decided to download just one of the older ones because I think a lot of them are somewhat the same. But the particular ones where I think Yellow you have Pikachu, Red you have Charizard, or whatever. There was also some DS games that I got, like Star Fox Command and some other games. Yeah, a lot of Wii U games I think are going to start going up in price when the store's closed. So yeah, I've also been it was around places looking for Wii U games. It's amazing I go to a lot of retro game stores and find tons of PS2 games, tons of PS1 games, but Wii U games are few and far between. I got like Mario Kart 8 for the Wii U, and then bought some Wii games. It's kind of weird to think of the Wii and the Wii U as retro games now, but I think they're pretty much getting close to that already. Yeah, I think we're getting pretty close. So the Wii U and the 3DS stores are going out of business forever. And forever. We'll be able to access to re-download the games, but I'm not really sure how long that's going to be. So might want to try to get hard drives and get as much stuff as you try to get a bunch of as whatever games and stuff you might want to play off of there that are kind of hard to get anywhere else, or emulation. As some people have been saying, they're going to have to start being pirates or something. Well, I mean, not necessarily against the law, really. Well, I mean, yeah. Well, I download a lot of emulators, and I download a lot of ROMs, but I would tell you I don't sell the ROMs. I'm not making money off of it. So is it technically really piracy? I know a lot of people have these hacks for the Wii U and the 3DS. I don't know if I'm interested in trying to go to jail for jailbreaking consoles and whatnot. I mean, I don't think that's really what I'm supposed to do on them, but if you do that, then that's your business. I mean, a lot of times I would be willing to do it because some of these games are really worth going through some trouble to get. I mean, I use ROMs for arcade games, and I've used ROMs on a lot of my videos. So I mean, well, I don't know if it's really piracy if these games are 30 years old, and I don't know why these companies don't want us to play these games. I mean, do they not want money? I'm sure there's a lot of people that would love to play some of these games that are they vanish, disappear, and you may not even know. Like the original Silent Hill. Unless you have an original PlayStation, there's not many ways to play the original, and it's never been. At least I don't think it's been remastered, whatever. Yeah, so I've been spending most of the day playing around with the 3DS and the Wii U. I could be playing the remake of Resident Evil 4 and actually playing some other stuff. I'm trying to figure out how to download 11-year-old games or something. Well, I heard Xenoblade Chronicles X is a relatively long RPG. I'm hoping I'm going to try to be more open-minded about playing it. I don't know, it was everything that ticked me off about it. It was the thing because that couldn't use the headphones through the Wii U gamepad. It was almost like the gamepad wasn't even compatible with it. And I believe it's an exclusive game. I don't believe it's been released on anything else except the Wii U. No, I think I remember playing it, and I think I remember it felt kind of like an MMO, but not in a way. Because I remember you can you change the name of your character, the look of your character, you almost create your own character, and you just kind of fall down, which is a little bit odd. Like, was this supposed to be an MMO? A massively multiplayer online experience, and then they changed it at the last minute. Oh, I heard supposedly 50 hours into it, you can get a mech or something. I remember the biggest thing for me was that you had to travel like all the way out of the place, out of the city area, all the way out there, all the way out there, fight for 2 minutes, then have to come all the way back, and there seemed to be no fast travel or whatever. And I did that about 2 times, and I was worn out of playing it. I think maybe I hadn't had a lot of sleep. I felt like crap, didn't really want to take the time to play it. Well, I guess this video is gone long enough and starting to get off topic. Yep. Yep. I guess this is what a lot of people have said on a lot of internet news stuff. Like, this is the final warning that the store is closing on March 27th. Maybe Nintendo might change their minds and give us another day or something, but I really wouldn't think so. So if you're watching this video sometime after March, then yeah, you're kind of too late. It'll be too late. Maybe some of these games will be available some other time, but there's no way of knowing. And I think people need to realize these companies are not our friends. They're not our friends. They want us to buy their stuff, spend their money. Maybe some of them are afraid we might go crazy and want to just play old stuff and not want to play any of the new stuff. Maybe there's a reasoning behind Nintendo's, like, or Nintendo really going after people for things with their games. And I'm like, it's like, this game is 20 years old. You're not making any more money off of it. I would believe most of the licenses have been that I would believe that most of the licenses have been like distorted or something. I mean, what they're not going after people that are trying to play these old games because they want to play them. And Nintendo doesn't seem to offer us any way. A lot of companies don't offer us ways to play any of their old stuff. Like once these stores all start shutting down, we don't have access to these games. And then, of course, our hard drives or, I mean, things don't last forever. And the way game systems are now, they don't last very long. And a lot of games that use servers or anything, they're like toast once the server goes down. It seems like there's going to be a lot of these games seem to have a small lifetime. I mean, most games like cartridge games, it's about 30 years worth of time. And of course, we have DLC and everything. And I have seen videos about the completion list, and he spent like what? I think he spent like $9,000 and something dollars getting every last Wii U game downloaded. I mean, every game. And then and 3DS, he downloaded every single freaking game on that too, and it was quite amazing him doing that. And I remember there was like a $250 limit, which money you could spend on the store, and then there was a limit on how many games you could actually download in like a 24-hour period. Yeah, it's been kind of a fiasco for me to try to get this stuff figured out. But I got it figured out. I've got a handful of games and things. I have a lot of stuff that I had previously downloaded, so I'm glad that I have a Wii U right now, so I didn't have to like go buy a whole Wii U and try to hurry up and do this. But I may have to try to, make a purchase of another Wii U in case this one dies. But I've already seen there's ways to kind of fix it. But the problem is if you fix it, it will erase all the data. I think it will erase the data off the stuff. Yeah, and a good way to know if a USB drive is going to work on your Wii U is, well, if the Wii U recognizes it, it will ask you to format it. If it does not, then either it's already been formatted or there's something iffy with it. Yeah. So before the final warning, you guys need to go and get whatever you want off that store before it's gone. Yeah, remember, when the store closes, you will still be able to download games that you've already got. So, I said, make sure you remember all your account names and passwords and whatnot to do the ID. I had to create a whole new, I had to create an extra user on my Wii U in order to link it. And then my 3DS asked for the parental code, which thankfully I remembered what it was. Yeah, a lot of Wii U's have parental codes on them and stuff, so you may have to like reboot a Wii U if you get one that might have some left parental passwords on it that you have no way to change or fix or whatever. Oh yeah, do you remember the age where we had DVD players that you had to put in parental, had a parental password? Yeah, I've had DVD players that wouldn't let me play a game because I couldn't play a movie that was R-rated because it said it was about my parental controls were messed up. I had to buy a whole new DVD player just because it wouldn't locked me out, wouldn't let me watch my movies on it. Yeah, so the Wii U didn't really do much innovativeness. It might have been much like and then of course there wasn't really a whole lot of third-party games really on it. Like the Capcoms and yeah, I remember there wasn't really a whole lot of top release of games. Like as I said before, Star Fox Zero, and though it's not really a very good Star Fox game, but I still love Star Fox. Captain Code Treasure Tracker, more of a puzzle game. Well, of course, there were a lot of I think Mass Effect 3 was on the Wii U. I think like some of the Arkham games, I think there were special versions of them for the Wii U. So yeah, the Wii U, some interesting releases. Yeah, it felt like the Wii U was really trying to have a lot of games on it that no one else did. But the problem was, of course, everyone had already played the Arkham games quite a bit and would probably not really. Yeah, and a lot of times I remember a lot of these Wii U games would then come out and they'd be like $60. It's like, why am I going to pay $60 for a Batman game that I've already played already? Well, and especially go get one of the Arkham games. It was been like $5 at, well, a few years ago this was. You could just run to GameStop and buy a copy of the PlayStation 3 for like $5. Why exactly would you want to spend $60 on the Wii U version? I don't think the Wii U version was bad. It just was one of those things where, all of a sudden the Wii U had some game that was technically had already been out for like 3 years. And it's like, it's just one of those things where perhaps the Wii U was kind of releasing games that were like too late, too soon, or just the Wii U just had a bum time. It was just kind of a weird time where a lot of game series were just starting up and oh, or maybe it's just a lot of developers didn't want to program games for the Wii U. It was just kind of a nuisance thing, or maybe the Wii U was, too unflexible. As I've said before, without the Wii U gamepad, the Wii U won't function. I've heard there's ways to make your cell phone turn into a gamepad, some program or whatever, so you can access it. Because I mean, the Wii U needs like the pad needs to talk to the system, and the system needs to connect to it. Anyways, see you guys later. And perhaps we'll be doing some videos on actual gameplay instead of just the blahing like I usually do. Well, I'll catch you guys next E-Man show then.